We're
Yo,
live.
so I just had a funny idea. Like moments ago, as it was inspired by your shirt. Um, so I had thought about this idea recently because I saw, remember those Magic Eye posters and the Magic Eye books that would go
Yeah.
3D, right? When you like tweaked your eyes
Yes.
a certain way.
And you have to like defocus, and then all of a sudden it appears.
Yeah, I think they got like super popular in the '90s, maybe. Um, well, they kind of lost traction, right? Like everybody forgot about them. I think I forgot about them. And I recently saw someone who did a Facebook post with one of them, and it totally worked. I enlarged it to full screen, and I got it to work on my screen. And I just had the idea because of your shirt. It kind of reminded me of the Magic Eye weirdness of those, distorted things. I was like, oh, if you could create like an app where
That
you
would,
put whatever image or words in that you wanted, and it would spit out a magic eye. Like, how awesome would that be? Like, as in an email, or as a face, like fully customized. I'm sure there obviously are ways to do this. It's a
right, right.
technology that's been around forever, but like, I bet you could create something cool. Imagine instructions, like a series of instructions that were given through like a series of magic eye images where you
Yeah.
could only get the secret code by right by seeing it. Anyway,
Yeah.
maybe like a special URL, like you can only see if you can,
If you, yeah.
you know. Anyway,
Yeah. It's kind of like a QR code, but for humans, like,
that's right.
like hidden in plain sight.
Well,
Um,
so speaking, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say this shirt always reminds me of like a dinosaur or something, like dinosaur bones,
Yeah.
and
I got the dinosaur bones vibe going on.
yeah, and it's funny because like I like tie dye, but I have to have very specific tie dye that's unique and not the same old.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think I wore this to Necker Island.
I
But
definitely have seen it before.
I just found it at the bottom of a stack of T-shirts, and I said, "Oh, I haven't worn this in forever. Let me put this on."
Nice.
I have no
Well,
idea whether it's clean.
so speaking of Magic Eye, that brings up a totally different thing that relates to the topic of today's conversation, which is all about cultural consciousness. And this is an idea that I've been playing with for many years, and I'd like to share with everyone how to use this concept of cultural consciousness to dramatically increase the responsiveness of all of your communications with your people, all your marketing messages, every article you write, every email you create, every subject line you write, every headline you create, every video you do. If you're aware of cultural consciousness, you can make it more impactful. Okay. But what the Magic Eye posters remind me of is the Magic 8 Ball. And the Magic 8 Ball is a great example of something that exists in cultural consciousness. So, does anyone own the trademark Magic 8 Ball? Probably. Okay.
Yeah, probably Mattel or something.
Probably someone does. However, Magic 8 Ball is part of cultural consciousness at this point. So I'm not suggesting that you go and you start manufacturing your own Magic 8 Balls and selling them until you get a lawsuit. No, that's not what I'm suggesting. What I'm saying is the idea of a Magic 8 Ball exists in cultural consciousness. And so I like to think about this right now. I think about the idea of cultural consciousness when I'm creating fictional characters or email mascots. And we'll talk about that more in a little bit. But the real idea here is we call them memes now, right? When you see like a joke or an idea, a concept that's amusing in some way passed around on the internet. First, they were exclusively static. Then they became GIFs. Now memes can sometimes even be in videos to a certain degree, but it's like a little amusing knowledge nugget, or it's a funny thing that people recognize or that everyone responds to, and a lot of people respond to with a similar sentiment, like, oh yeah, that whole thing is weird about how the way society works or whatever. But for example, I was lucky enough to do a search on GoDaddy
Yeah.
at the right time, and I was able to buy getshitdone.com.
Right.
So get shit done is a saying in the cultural consciousness. We use it in our society, right? Especially among entrepreneurs, but people. We say, okay, please stop talking to me. I got to get some shit done. Like,
Yeah.
or, okay, got
Time to
get
focus.
motivated. Time to get shit done, right? I really need to get some more shit done and stop procrastinating all the time. Like, this is something that we say to ourselves, that we say out loud, that we say to each other, right? So the domain, get shit done, the idea of get shit done, that's in the cultural consciousness.
Right.
And so I created the get shit done hypnosis session because I knew people already wanted to get shit done. And that was the language, that the literal language they were using around.
Everybody was saying, yep.
Right. Another much more common example of cultural consciousness is in copywriting. Anyone who's a serious student of direct response marketing and copywriting has probably already heard this example down the line of writing timely articles, writing timely blog posts, writing timely emails, creating timely live streams or YouTube videos or whatever your media is that you're creating,
Right.
and commenting on what's happening in the times.
I think
Right.
there's something called newsjacking that was all the fad for a while, which is kind of like this concept, right?
Yeah, and it's also the reason for the entire fake news movement. Okay? Like, all the fake news stuff is so much based on like a game of telephone about what may or may not be actually happening out there in the world.
Right.
And now that everyone has a platform to broadcast from, you know, like everyone can just like yell and scream, and the world kind of has to hear it to a certain extent. That regardless of its accuracy or validity or, you know, whatever. But the idea is, right now it's 2020. If you write about it being 2020 in your email, people are going to pay more attention than if you just write it being about blah, blah, blah. If you write around it like timely, there's an election going on right now, right? Or it's coming up on it. And everybody's all fired up about it. Now, I don't necessarily encourage people to write about politics like personally, I avoid it. Other people actively write about politics all the time as a way of really directing and getting tons of attention of people who are in alignment with their political views. My political views are kind of neutral, and I don't do a lot of research and studying up on political stuff because I'd rather keep that stuff out of my mind.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So I'm not really educated enough to talk about political stuff well. But again, if like Mount Vesuvius erupts, okay, and there's a giant volcanic eruption and it's global news, well, guess what? Writing about Mount Vesuvius as it relates to your topic is going to get some attention. Cultural consciousness. Also, how does cultural consciousness work? Again, whether you're writing, no matter what you're writing or who you're writing to or what you're creating, this is still true. Jacqueline, hello. Good morning.
Good morning, Jacqueline.
Actually, Jacqueline and Jean, you're
Hey,
both
Jean.
doing Facebook Lives every day. And if you both use timeliness more in the titles and content of your videos, you're going to get more attention. Again, I would be careful around the political stuff, but and you don't want to use like too much fear and hate around Corona or around, you know, all the racial stuff that's going on right now and all. I mean, those are big deals. You will get attention, but it's a delicate situation to it's a powder keg, right? It's easy to blow at stuff. So one of the things that you can do is you can write about holidays that are happening. They happen every year. They come around every year, and you know, as different holidays are coming up, your birthday included, perhaps, right? You can write around this kind of stuff. If you're in a more woo-woo field, a more spiritual, supernatural, woo-woo kind of field, Joshua, I think you're frozen.
I am?
Yeah, you're totally frozen. I'm gonna
You have my audio or no?
I do have your audio. I'm gonna turn you off and then turn you back on. All right. And I think your video is still frozen though. Nope, you're back. All right, great. Or a little bit choppy though. Just heads up.
Okay.
So when you create your videos, think about what's going on in the world, other types of recent news events. You can create all sorts of stuff. But when you tap into the cultural consciousness, it magnifies and amplifies your clients and customers' awareness because of the reticular activating system. Okay? And this is like when you get a new car, not necessarily brand new, any new car to you, or when you're in research mode and you've kind of decided on the car you really want to get, and you've been looking at pictures of it and you've been watching videos of it online and you've been maybe taking test drives in it, and all of a sudden you start seeing them everywhere, right? So basically, when you become aware of something and all of a sudden you start noticing the pattern everywhere, that's kind of how cultural consciousness works too. So again, in the Mount Vesuvius example, Mount Vesuvius erupts, everybody's thinking about Mount Vesuvius. Mount Vesuvius is already on the brain. You send out an email with Mount Vesuvius in the subject line, and you somehow turn in the email and or the preceding media that you're going to deliver, you turn the Mount Vesuvius story into something that relates back to your products, to your services, to your tribe, etc. And presto changeo, you've totally connected. You've got a lot of attention and redirected people back toward your business and the types of things that you're offering to your people. You've engaged them successfully, right? So, Joshua, should we talk about Johnny on the Spot? Ooh, are you there? Oh,
Hello.
Okay, I can hear you now, but you're kind of frozen. Yeah, your signal is very wonky today.
Yeah. I'm trying to play with it. I was just watching myself and I was looking blurry on Facebook. Sorry. It seems to be better now, but I don't know if is it still better for you or no?
No, you're frozen again for me.
Okay.
Like every now and again you unfreeze, and like right now you're frozen looking like this. All right. Well, so I guess while you're trying to
I'm watching myself on Facebook and I'm not frozen.
Interesting. All right. Well, let's keep talking. So let's talk a little bit about Johnny on the Spot, which came up during our NPOD training class yesterday, which is not public, right? But do you want to talk a little bit about who Johnny on the Spot is, what you do or don't remember about Johnny on the Spot?
Sure. I also want to kind of tie in everything that you were saying to what we were talking about yesterday, in yesterday's live stream, about entering the conversation that's already taking place in their mind. This is kind of a shortcut, not kind of, it is a shortcut to immediately short circuit the need to bond, and you can kind of guide the conversation because whatever you're picking to as a touch point or as a touchstone to trigger that awareness automatically puts them into the frame of mind that you can then where it is, like you're not guessing anymore, and you can then shape it to where you want it to go. So it's really powerful in conjunction with what we were talking about yesterday, and in conjunction with the X factor and the 7 levels of conversation. So now I since have lost the train of thought. Oh, Johnny on the Spot. That's what you wanted me to talk about, right?
Yeah.
So Johnny on the Spot, I don't remember how it came up. I think as I remember you telling me about it, Jean had answered a question and she had something, and immediately, and I said, oh, Johnny on the Spot, meaning that like she had the answer immediately.
Right.
And when I started thinking about it after you brought it to my attention this morning, it just popped out of my mouth, right? Like, so like it was just in me, which I guess serves your point, right? That is what you're talking about in terms of this awareness, and you're entering that conversation. Like I didn't even, it didn't even occur to me to think about it. It just popped right out, right? And then that also got me thinking about the term go-to guy or go-to gal, when you're known, as the go-to person on some particular subject. That's kind of similar to Johnny on the Spot, although has a different connotation to it, but, those types of things. So, like that. And I'm just looking at all the Oh, I'm looking at all the comments here finally. Sorry, and Jacqueline says I'm not frozen here, and
Great.
okay, great.
Cool.
So now you got me confused, and it's on you.
That's right. That's right. So check it out. So Johnny on the Spot, I'd heard it before, and I think I had heard you use it before, like years ago, and maybe I'd heard it other places too, but it wasn't something that I heard growing up or something. And so
Right.
so when you look it up, it one of the first thing that pops up on Google is says the phrase "Johnny on the Spot" was first recorded in the 1896 April issue of the New York Sun.
No
Johnny on
kidding.
the Spot. Johnny on the Spot, a new phrase which has become popular in New York. The origin of the phrase can't be traced specifically, though it certainly originated from the expression "Johnny is always on the spot when wanted."
Makes
So
sense. Also, from a reporting standpoint, it makes. I mean, I could make up a good story for it.
that's right. That's right. So the idea of Johnny on the Spot is a concept that already exists. And then you were talking about little Johnny jokes.
Yeah, I was.
Is that something we should get into publicly?
Well, I mean, you know me, I have no filter, so like what you see is what you get with me. So,
All right, what do you got? Give us a little Johnny joke.
all right, I'll tell you my favorite Little Johnny joke. And so Little Johnny's this kid, and if you know anything about Little Johnny, he's got a foul mouth, and everybody knows that he's got a foul mouth, including his teachers. And so he's in like third grade or something, and they decide to play the alphabet game, or whatever grade it is that when you're learning the alphabet. Maybe third grade is too late in the realm of things. So maybe it's first grade. At any rate, they're playing the alphabet game, and the teacher says, "All right, who can tell me a word that starts with the letter A?" And so everybody's raising their hand, including Little Johnny. Pick me, pick me. Well, teacher knows that Little Johnny's reputation, so she says, "No, I'm not picking him," because he's going to say asshole or something like that. So she picks on Georgina, and Georgina says apple, and very good, Georgina. And this goes on, B. Everybody's hand goes up, including Little Johnny's, and she's like, "I'm not going to pick on him because he's going to say bitch or bastard or ball sack or something like that," right?
He's getting good.
Yeah. So and it continues to go on this way, and until they get to R, and nobody but Little Johnny is raising their hand, and I got to pick on him because there's nobody else that I could choose from. So she says, "All right, Little Johnny, what do you have?" And he says, "Well, rat." And the teacher goes, "Whew," and like dodged a bullet on that one. "Yeah, a big fucking rat with a dick this big."
Nice.
So
Nice. Very classic.
that's my absolute favorite Little Johnny joke, and it's not a quick one, but that is the. And my dad had his own choice for his favorite Little Johnny jokes.
Are there lots of them though?
Oh yeah, there's
Okay,
tons
so
of them.
I want to point out that you could. How to use Little Johnny again is not something that I'm not familiar with, but obviously a bunch of people are, and so could you, for example, if we're going to use the fictional marketing example, could you create a Facebook group called Little Johnny Jokes? Of course you could. And could you tell those jokes in a series of videos and or even meme style still shots, depending on the length of the joke? Yes, you could. And could you create a Facebook page named Little Johnny? You could. And could Little Johnny communicate with all the people who love Little Johnny jokes? And could he tell his own jokes?
For sure.
Right? So this is a way of taking a character that already exists in the cultural consciousness and building a whole following around it. No one owns Little Johnny. Right?
Yeah. Right.
And it's already a proven winner. Like these jokes are around. People tell them and retell them for at least 2 generations, probably more, probably 3, probably 4.
Right.
And so if you start training yourself how to think this way, you can start pulling all of these amazing like things out of thin air that people will naturally resonate with much more.
Yeah.
It's already so yeah, with all the fictional characters that we do, sometimes you can just get a weird one out of note that like once the Intergalactic Council, I didn't think the Intergalactic, like I liked the idea of getting an email from the Intergalactic Council, but I did not think it would work. I thought it was too sci-fi and weird. But people loved getting emails from the Intergalactic Council.
Yeah, it turns out that you have a lot of other people that wanted to get emails from it, right?
Right. A character that we created that was kind of like a hybrid that is a very popular character is called the Email Fairy, right? And obviously they're receiving an email, and the Email Fairy is this little fairy that lives on the internet and gets your emails delivered, right? And she's got magic powers to make sure they get through, right? And especially certain messages, she intervenes just to make sure that it gets read, and that's why you're reading this right now, right? But then you can apply this to your products too. I mentioned the Get Shit Done session, but there are several other products that I created that were big winners because I applied this principle to it. The first one, so most of you guys know I'm a hypnotist. I have a whole line of hypnosis and hypnotherapy products and programs. So one of my best-selling sessions, if not my best-selling session of all time, is the abundance session. The idea of abundance, the word of abundance, is extremely powerful in that market, in self-improvement, personal development market. The idea of wanting more abundance, everybody wants it. And so I was just like the abundance session. Sold like gangbusters. I didn't even need to have good copy written for it, and it still sell really well, right? But then, I'm giving you guys these examples because you can do this type of digging in your own market. You can understand this in your own world. I started talking to my customers and like on the phone, and they would fill out intake forms for private consultations, and they would tell me how much money they were making right now, and then they would tell me what their goal is to make. And do you know what the number one goal is to make per month in terms of your income? The number one goal, as far as I can tell, for people that are filling out these types of applications and seeking coaching and wanting help, it's $10,000 a month. That's what everyone wants. Everyone wants $10,000 a month. It's programmed. It's stamped. It's been forced into our skulls, and we didn't even realize it. We all agree on it. We all want this elusive number of $10,000 a month because it's round and easy to remember. It's big, but not too big, right? And so I created the $10,000 per month session, the 10K session, and it hypnotizes you to make $10,000 a month. It's very popular. People love it. And then after they take it, they ask for the $25,000 a month session. Like they proactively email me and ask. So these are where you can find these little things that are going on in the cultural consciousness. And you can create products, you can create services around them. Here's another one. May 4th was coming up, Star Wars Day. So I created another hypnosis session, the Force session. Sells like crazy to awaken the Force within you. People love it. They absolutely love it. There's no Star Wars branding. There's no me pretending. I just call it the Force session,
Right.
And it's great. So you can use these principles in the naming and the creation of your products and services, of your books, of your videos, of your fictional characters or mascots, if you ever decide to go down that route.
Cool.
What thoughts do you have on cultural consciousness, Joshua?
Well, it's just building on what you're talking about there. And for me, it all goes back to what we were discussing yesterday with, meeting the people inside the conversations that are already taking place in their mind. And that's what's so brilliant about this. And regardless of whether you're using it in the same fashion that you're using it in, Talman, with the fictional approach, it's still the opportunity to tap into the concepts and the principles that you're talking about here, where there's to shape it, and there are shortcuts. So like if you can tag on to something that immediately doesn't require any explanation because people get it, and even though they're making up their own story or narrative around it, it's in the general direction that you're in, the point that you're trying to make. And I've used this before in like using what you call it, not nursery rhymes, but what's the fairy tales, where you retell the core story of a fairy. And I've used this to sell many things, but one of the ones that I went down, and I just used the whole thing in the tone of the Emperor's New Clothes, and believing, and my whole thing was that I wanted to tell people that just because you believe something to be true doesn't make it so, and but by telling the story from the standpoint of the emperor and his new clothes, and how he was walking around naked, until some kid that says, "Hey, why is the emperor naked?" And then it could be tied into literally anything, but it immediately gave me the credibility. Plus, you get the halo effect, right? Because you can tell somebody else's story, not taking credit for it, but immediately you are credited with, like, me and so are pals. You know what I mean? Like, so even if you're using it in a non-fictional sense and you're quoting somebody else that's a true, one of your heroes, like Elon Musk, for example, maybe that's a hero.
Well, I want to point out that, like, every preacher, every minister, right, that reads from the Bible is absolutely utilizing this effect. Okay? They're reading from a book, and because they're reading from the book, they are granted authority.
Right.
Okay? And period. I mean, end of story. Or, whether or even at the dinner table, if your family reads the Bible at dinner, it's the reader of the book is granted a level of authority because they're reading the book, right? And so, again, it's the telling of the story, right?
Right.
And that connection. It's very interesting.
And speaking of that, like, I mean, we've all seen this as a completely different example, but it's the same principle at work. If you've ever done any public speaking, the instant that you step on stage, you have an immediate perceived credibility, an immediate perceived authority, because you're up on stage and the people that are sitting there watching you aren't.
That's right.
Before word one comes out of your mouth, there's a reframe of who you are. Even if they don't know you, because you're on the ticket or you're there, you must have some sort of specialized knowledge. So you start a rung up the ladder, so to speak.
Yep.
And this is just very useful to think out when you're going through the mental conversation themes that are going on, because there's ways to shortcut it. There's so that you don't have to do all the work and be perceived as the authority or be perceived as trustworthy or whatever, until you earn that right by the interaction. And, so I can't say enough positive things about this, and it doesn't have to live solely in fictional spaces like you were talking about earlier with Mount Vesuvius erupting, same thing. So anyway, that's what I have to say about that.
Nice. I'm checking a couple of the comments in the group to see who they are actually coming from, because we can't see. Let me see. Oh, Jacqueline says, I still have problems identifying my customer demographics or psychographics. People who are seeking or want spiritual growth, but they don't know what that is until they start. Want more calm. I don't know that we're just going to be able to answer that question for you, Jacqueline, but here's your answer. Here's the solution, is call your customers and ask them about what's going on in their lives, what they're dealing with, what they're struggling with, and what they're trying to accomplish. Call them on the phone, keep the conversation focused, and talk to as many of them as you can over the next 7 days. They're going to ask you for help, and that's going to give you a much clearer understanding of what it is they're looking for, right?
Plus, it's not about, they're not coming to you saying, I want spiritual growth or I want to be more calm. They're coming to you saying, I want to feel relief. I want to feel better. Whatever the better is, they might not know how to say it, but that's really why they're there. They want to feel better. They want to be happy. They want to be, connected. They want to feel appreciated. They want love. They want to be loved. They want to give love. They want to feel and feel worthwhile. I mean, those are the core things, and they manifest in a million different directions. But at the end of the day, that is what I would say that you specifically are empowering people to get. When you talk about part of your stupid human trick being the ability to unlock somebody's purpose and passion in life, in 30 seconds or 2 minutes, that's a form of getting them connected with their true self. That's a form of them being, giving a dose of confidence and inspiration from the inside out through you. And at the end of the day, they just want to feel better. And I know you've got all sorts of things to say, Telman. So
I agree with you. They do want to feel better, but in your case specific. So for those of you who don't know, Jacqueline aren't focused on what she's doing. Number one, follow her right now. She's been doing videos every day for like 150 plus days in our 99 days group. By the way, if you are interested in getting on the ball with consistently producing videos every day to grow your list, to grow your business and build your following, we have a great free group that we created called 99 Days. If you'd like an invitation to that, I'd like you to type hashtag 99 days into the comments and then send me a private message that says 99 days, and I will give you an invitation to our private group where we're teaching people how to use Facebook Live and consistent Facebook Lives to drive traffic, grow your list, grow your business, and get leverage as a first step toward your business growth, right? And Jacqueline is doing an amazing job, but she has a very obscure and unusual topic, which I love, called PK, psychokinesis, otherwise known as spoon bending. I've bent spoons with my mind as a result of attending one of Jacqueline's workshops about 10 years ago, and I still have them in my liquor cabinet. Now, if you're leading with spoon bending, which a lot of the time you seem to be right now, Jacqueline, I just had a realization while Joshua was talking. I think that there's one thing that your people really want that is actually what you are providing. And I think if you provided it more, you'd make more money. I think they want proof that magic is real. I think that they want physical, real world confirmation that the mystical is reality. And spoon bending is one portal to make that imaginary, invisible, powerful world that they feel connected to, and they feel like everyone else around them doesn't understand their connection to the spirit world or whatever. And spoon bending makes it real. It's a visual confirmation that magic is real. And so the good news is there are dozens and dozens and dozens of other things that also do that, and you know about a lot of them already. So I would encourage you, Jacqueline, to explore other ways that you can visually illustrate that magic, however you're defining that, is real, right? And
in my case, I call it where wooey wooey meets the real world.
It's true. That's right. But
I think you're dead on, brother.
Because it's that thing that you're like, I know it's real. I know it's real. I know it's real.
I want to believe it, but prove it. You know, like I want to believe it, but and if this is real and and it is proved to me, then maybe some of these other things that I don't want to, or that I really want to believe in, but I don't believe in, is also real. You know.
Yep. Eric, got your 99 days thing. Facebook user, you must be in the group. I can't see who you are, but
I'll tell you in a second.
I got yours as well. So Yeah, shoot me
Yeah,
a
it's Jacqueline.
awesome. Awesome. That's right. Cool. So cultural consciousness is super powerful. I want to add another piece in. I've talked about this before, but it is a way of taking the cultural consciousness piece and pulling it through the rest of your marketing. And so it's called thought threading. And thought threading is where you take an idea, a concept, even a word, and you push it all as far up into the marketing chain as you can, and then you extrapolate that back down through the funnel. And so I'm going to use the word cheeseburger. So if I use the word cheeseburger, or even like a cheeseburger emoji, right? And I'm using that cheeseburger in the subject line and or in the from line of the email. Okay, that's where we're going to start. Now, you could also think about this wherever the front of your marketing funnel is. Maybe that's your Facebook ad. Okay, wherever the marketing for this particular promotion begins. And so cheeseburger is the topic. And then, well, we're probably going to want to write about cheeseburgers in the email if the cheeseburger got the email opened in the first place, right? And so we might want to put a picture of the cheeseburger in there, maybe a GIF of the cheeseburger in there. We're definitely going to talk about how great the cheeseburger tastes. And then we're going to use the word cheeseburger a crap load of times. But if the word cheeseburger got the email opened in the first place, do you think the word cheeseburger might get that email clicked on? Sure might. So every time you use that word cheeseburger in the email, bold it, blue it, and hyperlink it, underline it. Okay, big, bold, blue, underlined, hyperlink, cheeseburger. Click on it. Okay, now this is where things get a little bit tricky because we're talking about a single email, probably a single email broadcast. And do you really want to have the rest of your funnel be cheeseburger oriented just to make this thought threading thing work with the email? Not necessarily. And so the way you do this is one of the key power words or elements or principles that you're using, that actually is baked into your sales letter, your sales video, and your call to action, maybe even into your upsells. And then you turn around and you take those ideas, and that's what you write your emails around, right? So the cheeseburger actually came from the sales letter itself. So maybe the sales letter is telling a story about the most expensive cheeseburger ever sold, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And now I'm going to teach you how to price and position your products premiumly, like Peter Piper, right?
Premiumly.
That's right. But
Price and position premiumly.
But that's thought threading, is taking up a power idea, a power concept, a power word that people are responding to in your marketing and really intentionally going and reusing it over and over and over again throughout that entire process. Because it's kind of like, if the cheeseburger is going to get the email opened, the cheeseburger might get people to put their credit card information in on the order form too. Right? Thought threading. So when you're using these cultural consciousness ideas and you get one that works, then you can take that and you can thread it through more of your marketing. And again, it basically creates more of a slippery slope in everything you're doing. It's an advanced technique, and it's on top of already having great copy, already having an awesome offer, already having a market that you're clear on, and so on. No amount of thought threading is going to do anything for you if you don't have a list and you don't have a product and you don't have anything to send to anybody. But if you're further down if you have a business, if you have a list, if you do this type of marketing, this is a really good amplifier.
Cool. It's something similar I would say a first cousin to your thoughts on thought threading is like the chain of beliefs. And if you know that somebody has to accept and believe a certain set of beliefs in order to purchase from you, and you play the tape backwards to the beginning, and you work them through. Well, if they have to believe this, in order to get the best results in purchase, they have to believe that blah blah blah, and you work them all out, and then you build sequential things. It's what I talked about. Whenever I went solo, I think it was Wednesday, when I talked about the 3-act play and viewing it as 3 acts that builds to a crescendo. Well, the final crescendo is the what they have to buy into, and part of the thought threading is that you build upon it in a way that is not too much for them to, they can readily adapt and understand and accept, and then you can build on the next one. So once they will accept this, then they can accept the next idea, and not only accept it, but in a way that they get value from it, because the insights that you're giving somebody makes them go, wow, I didn't know that. It's like what we were talking about yesterday with Kimberly. Fly getting from.
I totally can't hear you. So I think you got a little choppy. I guess I'll pick up the baton and run with this. So I also want to point out some other interesting things are at play here. And one of them is called polarization. And so Eric, aka EJF, says, I'm sorry, but science says that all these things don't work. Love your marketing, though. So I'm going to assume you're talking about spoon bending. And I just want to point out that this is the power of doing awesome stuff, is that if your stuff is interesting and engaging enough, you will absolutely get naysayers. And that's one of the key indicators. I mean, you have to be getting people who are jumping on board too and who love your stuff and who are getting into it. But as soon as you start getting naysayers and polarizing your audience, your marketing is starting to work. So, Eric, I'm not going to argue with you one way or the other on whether this stuff works. But what I am going to say is I'm happy to hear that you're responding in that stuff totally can't work, because that's what creates more conversation around the topic. So, Jacqueline, that's a key indicator. You should probably put some more messaging out there like that. Hopefully you'll start getting some more naysayers if you don't have them already.
And here's another part of that conversation is that you're not speaking to the naysayers, you're speaking to the believers or the people that are inclined to want to believe.
Yeah, not everybody's your market.
EJ doesn't want to believe, so cool. And he's entitled to believe what he believes.
That's right.
Don't spend time trying to sell a steak of the month club to vegans. Ain't going to happen.
Exactly. But anyone can apply these principles regardless of your market or industry. And that's really the important part. That's the important takeaway here, is that anyone can use cultural consciousness. Anyone can use thought threading in order to amplify, to increase your connection with your people, your understanding of who they are and what they need, and your ability to serve them and help them, in order to...
Now, don't get defensive there, Jacqueline.
That's right. We're not going to get into a.
Your job is not to convince anybody of anything.
Yeah.
Your job is to give people insights and value that want insights and value along your lines. And remember, Facebook is not about. Facebook shows you. It's designed to show you more of what you already believe. That's
right.
The entire makeup of it. So, that's the.
And simultaneously, I just want to throw out there to everybody, whether it's on our personal Facebook feeds or in the group, I just don't tolerate people treating each other at all disrespectfully. I don't think we're quite at the disrespectful level yet, but this is the kind of conversation that could get disrespectful fast. And so I want to point that out to everyone, that I have a zero tolerance policy for people disrespecting other people's views or beliefs on anything. So everybody be cool. Okay. Thank you.
Well said.
All right. Whether we're talking about, featherless flying unicorns or how to make pepperoni pizza, it's all the same, Cool.
For sure.
So that's what I have to say about that. 99 days. If you want a 99 days invite, type 99 days into the comments. Thanks, Eric. And we will send you an invite if you want to get a jump start on doing your daily videos and really starting to build up some momentum. For those of you who are watching, what industry, market, niche, tribe, or product line are you in? What do you sell and or who do you sell it to? I'm genuinely curious. What do you guys have going on? And in the meantime, for those of you who are focused on paying attention to what we're doing on the marketing level, right? We've been talking about platforms a lot lately. And what is a platform? Why do you want a platform? What's our definition of the word platform? And we're working it out. We're figuring it out a little bit more. But right now, I think the working formula that we have is your audience or your tribe, right? You could also call this your niche. We'll call it your audience for now, your people, right? Plus your channel, right? The technology that you're using in order to communicate with the technology or technologies that you're using to communicate with them. Those
Direct connection, direct communication.
Yep. And then Joshua, you had another element that you brought up the other day. I'm trying to remember what it is.
Well, it has to do with the way in which a platform is developed, such that there is a mental conversation and a heart share enrollment conversation that immediately gets extended to you because it's you. And that happens, through the relationship, through the X factor, whatever you want to call it. But the responsiveness, and the responsiveness of any platform has to do with do they have an Oprah-like mental relationship with you? The more of an Oprah-like relationship or an advisory type relationship, consigliere, whatever word you want to give it, that they perceive mentally with you, and it's a perception, it's complete perception. But the more that exists, the more responsive, the more they're going to be excited to hear from you.
So if we were to just call that the X factor, right, which is what you've been calling it for years.
Yep.
We could call this A for audience. A plus we're just going to call it C, channel. Right? A plus C plus X equals P. That's right.
Except I wouldn't make it pluses. I would make it multiples, because if any one of them fall to zero, then your results, no matter how good the other ones are, doesn't, or on the other hand, when you have a tiny improvement in one, it amplifies through the rest if you've got others high, and you can make really fast improvements, by looking at it that way. So, the way that I been working on this since about 2017 or so is, and I've been evolving it now, but I originally started with the path to PIP, with PIP standing for perpetual income, influence, and impact platforms. And so now what I've been thinking about, and I woke up at about 1 a.m. this morning with this in my head, was PI3 platform, or pi for like infinite, and that PI and then the I's are, like when you can create impact, perpetual influence, perpetual impact leads to perpetual influence over your platform. And then if you so choose, it can also lead to perpetual income, and that all adds up to your platform in the way that I've been thinking about it.
I agree that all of these pieces are, they're very interesting. When we think about X or the X factor, just a really simple way that you guys can think about this, if the idea is new to you, is like your emotional connection. How deep is your emotional connection to your people? Is it superficial? Is it, have you met every one of them face to face and kissed them on the cheek? I mean, that's right.
The way I like to think about it, I mean, any old schoolers that know Gary Halbert, one of the things that, I mean, he was brilliant in so many ways and came up with so many different that are now mainstream things. But one of his big ones in the direct mail industry is he talked about A pile versus B pile mail, and that your job is to get into the A pile, and we all sort our garbage standing over. Sort our mail standing over the garbage. Well, I extended that to the internet, and the way that I like to think about the X factor is the most important thing in your email. Like, I mean, because we set up filters now to automatically delete stuff. We set up, and then we have whatever survives the sort, whether I'm not even talking about like the automatic sort from Gmail or whatever that automatically decides when they're going to, shift something out. But I'm saying anything that makes it into your inbox that you give your attention to, you still go down the list, I'm sure, and you probably have at least 2 or 3 categories. One is like all the ones that you can click, and hit the delete button, boom, and get them out of your inbox because you have zero interest, but you still want to stay on the list because you purchased something or something. I mean, at least that's the way I do it.
That's
Then
right.
there's the pile that like, I'm interested in this, but I don't have time right now. So let me file that away someday I trick myself, like I'll file that away in the someday, like I don't want to delete it because this could be really useful and I'll get back to this one day. I'm never gonna, but I got I got probably thousands of emails in those categories, right? All filed neatly in little categories and folders and blah, 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 blah. But then there's the ones that always stay in my inbox. And I make sure to keep them there until I actually read them and that I apply it because they have a certain amount of X factor relationship, X factor, whatever you want to call it. But in my mind, there's like I have received value from them, and something physically in me shifts when I see an email coming from that person. Like I know what it is. I stop and I know that it occupies not only a space of my mind, a mind share, but it occupies heart share.
Mm-hmm.
And that I've enrolled in, I've gotten value from, and I'll be damned if I don't, because I want to see what they have to share with me now because it's something that made an impact, that gave me insights before, whatever, and it's important to me. So that's like when I think about the X factor, it's not the subject line. It's not, I mean, like who the email is from. And if that extends, if somebody's heart races, if you become the bright point in their day, the exciting point in their day,
Right.
when they first see that email from you, then it doesn't matter what you're talking about. You've built up enough, unless you ruin it and spoil it. You've built up enough credibility, enough deposits in that the plus column that they enjoy hearing from you, and you can continue to enhance that. And my goal is for every communication, for whatever it is to improve people in some way, to leave them better off, regardless of whether they take my advice or take the actions that I want them to take. I want them to come away from every exchange. Does it happen? Probably not, but I want them to, and that's my intention, feeling better, including making buying decisions. So the act of being promoted to or sold to or enrolled in, actually, whether they buy or they don't buy, if I'm doing my job right, makes them more responsive, makes them more in love with me, makes them give me more heart share.
That's right. And don't forget it. No, it's true. It's true. This broadcast today, people have been digging. Jacqueline says that this is one of our best content broadcasts with concepts, humor, and substance. You are both brilliant. I have to agree. And everyone needs to watch this broadcast. Share it with people. Yeah.
Thanks,
please.
Jacqueline.
So for those of you who are in the Art of Email Marketing, which is our Facebook group all about email marketing, invite some friends in right now. Just invite some friends in that are interested in email marketing. That would be the best thing you could possibly do. And if you aren't in the Art of Email Marketing and you want to be, then type email into the comments and shoot me a private message, and I'll get you an invitation to the Art of Email Marketing. Awesome. I think
this was fun, Telman. Thank you.
It's good. It's good. Cultural consciousness.
Great topic.
That's right. Eric says that selling is all about emotions, not the product. There's some of both, but a lot emotions are often overlooked by people that are not good at selling. That's for sure. That's for sure. And that's an awesome story about email priorities and actions.
Thanks, Jacqueline. And I have to agree with you, EJ. That I believe we all buy emotionally first and then justify it with the logic and reason. But both have to be there, right, for the sale to take place. So we get engaged, we make that buying decision. But if there's not logic and reason to the process, i.e., the product, the features, the benefits that you're going to get specifically, or that you've convinced yourself that you're going to get, which is
Right.
another form of emotion, right? But the value creation side, which is completely 100% perceived and made up in the mind of whoever's doing the purchasing. But if you don't lead with emotion and then segue into it, you have a much harder road. Then you only get those 4 to 5% of the people that are ready to purchase right now, and that they were actively looking for a solution, and that they knew about you, and that you presented a good solution at the right time for them, and that they were in the market looking for it, wanting it. And if you're advertising on Facebook, by the way, none of that is existing, because people don't come on Facebook to buy shit. They go to Google to look shit up, to solve problems, to find solutions, or Amazon or YouTube. That they're actively looking there. They're in market there, but people get on Facebook for distraction, for entertainment, for connecting with people that already believe what they already believe. And that's a very different place to start selling from.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway.
Really is. Totally different. Hey, Neil, I see your email comment. Shoot me a private message as well, and I will get you an invitation to that group. And Eric says the email marketing is the bomb. You're correct.
Yeah, I agree.
Awesome. All right. Great episode today, Joshua.
I agree.
Rock and roll. All right, guys. If you want to take your email game to the next level, then we have something cool for you. It's called a platform audit tool. And Joshua built it to ask you a series of incredibly thought-provoking and revealing questions that'll help you get very, very, very clear on what the state is of your platform and your audience and your ability to communicate with it, and what it is that you might like to build in the future. So if you're interested in building your email list, growing your following, your fan base, and really getting a long-term platform of people that you can sell products and services to for years, if not decades into the future, then you can write, I don't know, what should they write? Audit. AUDIT, right? Audit down into the right down in the comments there, right? Audit AUDIT, and shoot me or Joshua a private message, whatever stream you're looking on, and we will get you a link to the platform audit. All right, that's it for now.
Thanks, guys.
Have an awesome day. Thanks, Joshua. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Thanks, Tillman. Bye.